Welcome back to Bullshit Creepypasta Storytime, where I still hurt on the inside because of that Sally.exe video. And as we both know, those scars will never properly heal, making the only remedy to this issue being me returning to the front lines of storytelling battle. And so today, I'll tell you the tale of Super Mario 64. Huge props to the author for scoring that super original story name, as well as this extra spooky player's choice box art image with the text Mario underneath, just in case someone gets confused. I always liked Super Mario 64 when I was a kid. I remember playing it at my aunt's house all the time. Well, one day a pop-up appeared out of nowhere as I was watching gameplay footage on YouTube. Thank God for the unrelated story regarding your childhood, I guess. But I was a little startled and was about to close the window until I realized that it was a website showing of a mint condition copy of Super Mario 64 for sale. There was a picture, comma, and everything. Well shit, if there's a picture you can't not buy it. I usually don't trust these things. Sure you don't. But the feeling of nostalgia and cliché-ity overpowered me, and I wanted to buy it. The whole business was peculiar, seeing as how the owner of the game wanted the buyer to send an envelope containing $10 to and address on the site. Oh, that doesn't sound convoluted and stupid at all. Also, who's and? Anywho, convolution, blah. Instead of using something like PayPal, what made things even more strange was that when I tried to gain access to the website, and in parentheses, I wrote down the URL. Do note though that the URL is not included anywhere in this story, which means that there never was an actual URL in the first place, so I'm sorry about that lie. Anyways, he wanted to gain access to the website after encountering 3 dots problems with the game, but the page was nowhere to be found. A few days later, after the $10 was mailed, good to see that you still somehow managed to buy the shady-ass game from the shady-ass broken website, even though it's shady and broken, oh hero of mine. But I got a package containing the new copy of the game. The first thing I noticed when I opened the small box was that the quote-unquote official sticker, if you even wish to use such terminology, but that sticker with Mario flying in the air was apparently peeled off or something. Author has no idea. In its place, though, was a piece of duct tape with Mario crudely written on it in permanent marker. I felt a little ripped off, which is really your own fault for purchasing something through a pop-up ad, but as long as the game worked, I didn't care. I got out my Nintendo 64 and put the cartridge in. The screen turned on with the familiar Mario face that you could stretch and twist aimlessly. I remember laughing all the time at the results as a kid, and decided to mess around for old time's sake. Assuredly setting off a red flag of some sort in the process. You're gonna die soon by the logic of creepypastas. I moved the cursor over to Mario's ear and pulled it to 11 proportions. We'll pretend the author isn't making shit up, but I was going to do the same to the other ear when the TV suddenly produced loud static. Oh no. Mario's whole head started deforming and twisting in ways that I didn't even know were possible for the model. But random sound effects from the game started playing along with the static. As all this was occurring, I could hear a faint voice whispering in Japanese. Oh, sure you did. The voice was stammering too, and whimpering. I bet it was. And I immediately shut off the game and tried again. Because as the main character of this story, you get to stupidly walk to your doom constantly. But this time, he didn't bother with the Mario head, just selected a new file and started playing. When I selected the file, the game skipped the opening monologue by Peach and the courtyard outside. Mario was placed right inside the castle. Creepier still, implying something creepy happened, Bowser didn't say anything either. That rude bastard. Author tried to ignore it and play it anyways. However, I also noticed that there was no music. You'd think one would notice the lack of music a bit sooner, but no. Dead silence. There weren't even any toads around to talk to. Huge loss right there, they always say such insightful things. And the only door I could enter was Bob-omb Battlefield. The other doors wouldn't even respond to my button commands. You know, everyone's favorite button, holding up on the control stick. The portrait to Bob-omb Battlefield wasn't the usual picture. It was just a stark white canvas. I was still trying to convince myself that these were just minor glitches, and that they wouldn't affect the gameplay at all. Arthur entered a deep state of denial. Once I entered the portrait, though, the image suddenly went from the blank canvas to the lethal lava land painting. You know, comma, that slightly unsettling image of the flame with the evil smile? Yeah, comma. That's when I started getting really suspicious. Yeah, now's the time to get suspicious, not when you went around clicking on random shit collecting ghosts and malware and... The mission select menu came up and yet another weird detail was present. Instead of Big Ba-Bomb on the summit, the mission was called Turn Back in all caps. I have no idea what drove me to press A. I believe it was your thumb for reference, but the level seemed normal though. Everything was how I remembered it. I thought I could finally enjoy my favorite childhood game. But that's when I saw him. Luigi. That asshole. I was absolutely shocked. He was never in this game. His model wasn't even a Mario palette swap. He looked like a completely original model. Hey, stop rewording the same thing and saying it over and over again. Luigi just stood there until I tried to approach him. He started running at unexpected speeds that I did not expect. I followed suit and went through the level. Strange things happened as I pursued him. Each time I picked up a coin, the enemies and music would get slower for some reason, and the scenery would look darker in color and more morbid. Not sure if morbid is the right word for this, but I'm not going to question your ways. It kept gradually getting worse until I collected a 5th coin, 5 whole coins. Then the music stopped. An impressive feat considering you said that there was no music, but the enemies laid down on the ground like they were dead. I was seriously freaked out, but I kept chasing Luigi. That's right, Arthur, keep chasing the dream. I went up the hill, no cannonballs rolled down trying to knock me over. I really wasn't surprised at this point. This world is a madhouse with no cannonballs, but Arthur ain't care. Luigi was just out of my sight as I ran. Once I reached the summit, I saw yet another object out of place. A small cottage was all that was seen at the top of the hill. Luigi was nowhere to be found. The cottage was certainly odd looking for a Mario game. It was old, plain, and broken down. I like that you're being bothered by its appearance rather than its existence and stuff. Regardless of my fears at that moment though, I had Mario enter the cottage. As soon as the door closed, a disturbing picture of a hanged Luigi immediately popped up along with a very frightening scare chord. God, not a scare chord! It sounded like a violin screech accompanied by a loud piano banging. That's the sound of scare in case anyone was curious. Write it down if you need to. Mario fell to his knees and sobbed for roughly 5 minutes. I counted. Then, the screen irised out. I returned to the castle, and Mario just slumped out of the painting, that drunk. The image switched from Lethal Lava Land portrait to the image of Luigi hanging himself. The room was different this time. Also, it was now a small hallway, so it's not a room at all. Toads with blank expressions and white robes lined the sides of the hallway, because standing around doing nothing is one of their only specialties, because they're bad at their job. There was another painting on the opposite end that just completely and utterly scared me. It was a picture of my family. Oh God, not a family picture! What depths won't you sink to, Arthur? It wasn't even a photo from the time Super Mario 64 was released. It was a very, very recent photo. I remember posing for it last weekend. Icky. Oh, but that bothers you? Not that it was a photo, but that it was not the photo you would have liked with the pose? Alright. I reached for the on-off switch on the N64. There was no way I was going to play this anymore. However, when I flipped the switch, the game was still on. Ooh, cliche. I flipped it back and forth, but to no avail. I suck at flipping. I tried unplugging the whole system, but it never left the screen. I was even still able to control Mario. So, turn off the TV and wait for someone else in your family to deal with it. Problem solved. I couldn't just leave it on forever, though, Arthur says, which is a defeatist attitude, I will add. So I kept playing. 'Cause you wouldn't be you otherwise. I went to the photo of my family and jumped in. It is not something I get to say out loud very often. Only one mission was available though. Of course, this one was called Run, Don't Walk. Of course, because why wouldn't it be? The author's inside joke apparently. And so I selected the mission. Let's go, dots. The level started in a flooded hallway with platforms floating on the water. Mario landed on one of these, and the camera turned to show what was behind. A silent black void was slowly approaching Mario! It didn't look like anything, except a black void like you already said, but it didn't even look like finished graphics. Just a giant blocky black blob. Very descriptive. I started jumping from platform to platform with no goal in sight. I kept running, you mean jumping, the darkness slowly but surely gaining speed. This kept going on for what felt like hours. I was really doubting there would ever be an end. And that's the problem with padding out your stories so much with stupid shit. But Mario was just going in circles for some reason. Finally, the black blob slash void slash thing caught up with Mario and enveloped him in darkness. He didn't scream or resist at all, he just consumed him. Mario fell out of the painting and back into the castle. I lost one of my 3 lives. Good thing the game hands them out like candy, huh? But the room was different now. Some of the toads were gone. We had cutbacks. Oh, and the painting looked different. Me and my family were in the same positions, but our bodies were partially decomposed. Only partially. It looked too real to be photoshopped, says author. It looked like someone just took our dead bodies and posed them. Regardless, I jumped into the painting again. Mario was in a small room. There was only one mission available. It was called I'm Right Here, spelled just like that. Shoutouts to the author for that important play-by-play action. I selected the mission and prepared for the worst. Oh, you're an optimist. Mario landed in a small dark room because the story budget didn't include any large lit rooms. There was no visible way out. The room was empty except for a piano in the corner. I knew what that meant. Author getting into top gear. I was stuck in there with the mad piano. Case solved. I approached it, and it started chasing me as always. There was no way to damage it, so I had no choice but to let Mario take damage. When he almost lost all of his health, the usual death animation didn't happen. Mario just got mauled by the piano. Clearly his greatest foe. He fell as his blood and guts spilled to the floor, and the camera panned to a top-down view of his corpse because, hey, why not rip off Grand Theft Auto while we're here? A distorted version of the merry-go-round music from Big Boo's Haunt played as the screen slowly transitioned from the in-game shot to a photorealistic sketch of Mario's dead body for some reason in the same view as the shot. It was very unsettling, says the author. Yuriofwind felt kind of lukewarm towards the situation, and I ran out of breath a couple of seconds ago. But the author cried softly as he gazed upon the image. He lost another life. You're not very good at this game. But the photo of my family was shown again. We were even more rotten than before. We looked so bad I'm not even gonna bother trying to go into detail as to fill you, the reader, in as to the situation and whatnot. The view zoomed into the painting, like I was warping again, implying he's done so before. I was greeted with a shot of Peach's castle from the outside. The castle was crumbling in ruin. The fields, you mean the front yard, was on fire. The sky was pitch black. Bowser's laugh played on loop in the background as children mockingly chanted, "You couldn't save her." Bowser didn't have to hire the choir of children, but he felt the need to go that extra mile, and that's appreciable. This went on for a long time, padding, until a close-up of Peach's face, accompanied by an extremely loud screech, interrupted the loop without notice, except for that screech thing. Peach's mouth was wide open, as if she was screaming. Gee, maybe she made the noise. Oh, but her eyes were empty, black holes, fun facts. Suddenly, I was back in the hallway of Plotitude, as Mario was once again ejected out of the painting. Now, all the toads were gone, and me and my family looked positively repulsive. which we may as well stretch a bit to make the story longer than it really should be. Maggots were wriggling around in holes in our flesh, guts were spilling out of our bodies, my dad's eyeball was hanging loose from its socket. Ugh, no one cares. It was too much to bear. But something still urged me to trudge on, Jesus Christ. And so he performed his stupid main character duties, and jumped into the painting, with only one life remaining. This time, though, there was no name for the mission, just a blank space where the title would be. They blew the title card budget on that stupid gore scene just now, evidently, but I selected the mission of nothing, and Mario landed on a very small island in the middle of the ocean. There was a solitary sign. It only read, "Dive!" in caps. I did just as it said, cause when has the sign ever lied to you? Never. And so, Arthur went into the water. The ocean was dark and empty. Big shocker. There were no fish. I wasn't even able to see anything in the water besides Mario. Again, big shocker. I swam downwards. I kept going for quite some time, yet Mario never ran out of breath. Okay, I counted roughly 10 minutes of swimming until I decided to go back up. Just as I turned Mario around, it came. A huge, and I mean huge, Unagi the eel came out of nowhere and swallowed Mario whole. I was dumbfounded. Or just the first one. Dumb. It went by so fast, I wasn't even sure what I saw, despite me just telling you exactly what I saw. The game over screen didn't even show up. All that happened was a fade out. The photo of my family and I was shown again. Thought it would be cool to recycle this portion of the story yet again. We were just playing skeletons now, though, of the spooky, scary variety, I'm sure. Once again, it looked very real. I couldn't move the camera at all. It just stayed focused on the picture. I shut off the game and turned it on again, which is a lie because earlier you said that you already tried that and it didn't work, which means you didn't do shit. But I chose my file. No, you didn't. And it just went to the skeleton photo of my family. I tried this about 3 more times, lying to yourself each and every time before giving up. I desperately wanted to stop, but some force kept me from walking away. Was it glue? We may never know, but Arthur decided to select the only other saved file. The camera once again focused in on the skeleton picture, but this time, they were in different positions. As if they were a different family is not at all an edgy way to end off your silly story, but that was quote-unquote Super Mario 64. Thinking back on it now, I don't really know what the story was even about. But it's over now, and we're still alive. And I think that's what's really important here. This has been Bullshit Creepypasta Storytime. Thanks for watching. Group hug. Hey guys, welcome back to End Slate, where the video's all done, which is why I'm still talking. You just watched what video was it? Oh god. It was a Bullshit Creepypasta Storytime on Super Mario 64. I wish it was actually, if a better story would have been better. No, that wasn't a good story. I hope you enjoyed the video, though. Ignore my voice dying. I'm sorry about that. Hey, End Slate things, you know? Let's do that. So the first thing I'd recommend is the last video I did on this channel, which was a Game of Mysteries on 3 canceled Kirby games, because that's fun. And then the other 2 videos are going to be just 2 random videos that I'm going to put up there. And then at the bottom of the screen, there's links for stuff. You can go to Nico's Twitter. Nico did art. Nico does the art. You can go to him. And then there's my stuff, which, you know, I'm not going to force you to go there. And I'm also not going to force you to do anything else. If you want to do other stuff, that's cool, but I'm not going to force you to do that. I'm going to probably go lay down. I'm sleepy, and I gotta work on some other videos. I've done Persona 3 also. I love you. I gotta go. Bye.